Heyo and welcome to my Jakobs Allegiance or Rafa build. This thing is nuts at mobbing with basically any Jakobs weapon in the game. For bossing, there is a setup to one-shot any enemy in the game. I'm sure you can guess what weapon it is. And there's a good 4 or 5 weapons that melt them just as quickly if you're including the time it takes to set up for a one-shot. And it's a ton of fun to use. For the skill tree, it is pretty similar to my Damage King Rafa build. For the Vault Hunter trait, it is called Overdrive. You get damage and movement speed. Our action skill we're using is Peacebreaker Cannons, and our augment, we're only using 1, but we're switching between 2 depending on if we're in bossing or mobbing. For bossing, go the one on the right. It gives you infinite ammo for 8 seconds regardless of weapons. So if you've got a single bullet in the mag, Hellwalker for instance, you can shoot infinitely without reloading for 8 seconds, and it melts for bossing. For mobbing, go the one on the left. It basically increases your action skill duration with every kill, so you can pretty much keep it up the entire time in any mobbing situation, whether that's a vault or a drill site, anything, which is fantastic. For skill points spent, we got 5 points in increased gun damage, 5 points in increased action skill duration per critical hit, which just helps keep that up as well. And then we also have 4 points for our class mod in this one here, which increases our gun damage, reduces our gun handling by a lot, but we counteract that. I'll show you guys how in a second. And then 1 point in this one for our class mod again, which is a kill skill that doubles all overdrive bonuses, which is nuts. For blue tree, we got 5 points in a reload speed because a lot of Jakobs weapons have 1 shot in the mag, or like a revolver has 6. Very low mag size, want to keep that reload speed as quick as possible. 5 points increase fire rate. These numbers will be a little different. Anything that starts with overdrive skill, the numbers will seem higher. So you fully spec everything, then go out, shoot some enemies with your action skills, and then get some kills. That'll get all your stacks up, and then the percentages will show the higher amounts in your skill tree, which is a little weird to make a build, but that's why these numbers will look different to yours. 5 points in there for increased fire rate, 5 points in first impression for increased 50% gun damage for the first shot in your mag. For instance, a Hellwalker or a Hot Slugger helps one dink anything with that. 3 points in El Centro, which counteracts the negative gun handling we have in our red tree ability. Without it, this will make you shoot at the roof or like huge spread on shotguns. It's ridiculous. So this counteracts it. Every second you have your action skill up, your gun handling is counteracted to be actually very accurate in the end. And then we've got 5 points in critical hit chance up to 75% with all our extra bonuses. And once you got your stacks up, you're hitting critical hits pretty much all the time. And you can actually make that 95% if you have the correct Jakobs enhancement, or if you just throw a crit knife, you'll have instantly 100%. Then 5 points in increased gun damage up to 150% is crazy for 5 points. 5 points to increase your overdrive bonuses per stack when you damage an enemy with a skill. So let your turret shoot some things, gets up to 20 stacks, and all the things that say overdrive bonuses get increased bonus. Another overdrive skill right here increases your fire rate and reload speed by 75% and 125%. You're reloading your shotguns so quickly. It's real nice. For specializations, we have 20 points in Brute to get down to riddle you this. Dealing gun damage gives you more gun damage up to 50%. This one here is just because I had extra points for increased critical hit damage, yet don't need this. 10 points in Sharpshooter and 10 points in Runner gets you down to Daredevil. 10 points in Daredevil gets you these last two, which are really good. This one in particular is fantastic. Reduces your action skill cooldown whenever you use a rep kit. We have a rep kit which has 3 charges to get your action skill back instantly, which keeps your damage up like non-stop. You never have downtime. And then 1 point in I Am Gun just increases your action skill damage, so your turrets do really good at just ruining little trash mobs for you, because all of your gun damage bonuses you're getting, 50% of it goes into your turrets, which is nice. For quality of life, I have aim down sights while you fight for your life. You don't need this if you want to min-max for more damage. Put it in the zone for aiming down sights, gives you more gun damage and critical hit damage. Or if you're a movement speed enjoyer, chuck it in bullet train so you do more damage the faster you're moving. 15% while you're just walking. Now, as for your gear, class mod, we're using Dancer mod again. This thing is really good. It doubles your overdrive bonuses, and it ends your overdrive bonuses as soon as your action skill ends. That's the trade-off basically, but again, we have our action skill up all the time, so you just get the bonuses all the time. For the skill points at the top, you want to try and get 1 point in the ability on the right, and then the god roll would be 5 points in the ability on the left. That is the red tree down here. Put this one right here. 4 points, could be 5 points in here for increased gun damage, and then this 1 point gives you the double overdrive bonuses kill skill. And then for passives, I just have action skill duration, try and get damage if you can, that would be great. For shield, if you're going pure Jakobs Allegiance run, get yourself an onion shield. It's a really good survivability shield. I went Jakobs Allegiance for weapons, and there is just basically, I'm not using Jakobs for the shield and the rep kit, because you're just reducing your damage. It's basically the trade-off. I was personally just interested in the weapons. But if you don't care about Jakobs pure Allegiance for shield and rep kit, I can recommend the What's for Dinner. Gives you 25% bonus shock damage when your overshield is active. And then you can also roll amp, which I've been farming Origo 600 times in the last 2 weeks. It's disgusting. So I managed to get 50% gun damage amp on it. You can apparently get up to 150, which is nuts, but this really helps for one tapping bosses. I'll show you that setup in a second. But otherwise, we just have a big capacity purple shield. We have the super soldier if you want high fire rate when your shield is full, great for melting bosses. And then for mobbing, if you just want to absolutely clear rooms, use the fireworks. These are disgusting. It's insane you can get this shield at level 4. Enhancements, I cannot for the life of me get the enhancements that I want. I've got a pretty decent one in terms of passives. Oh, this one's actually a really good one. That's my one-shot setup. The ability itself is pretty useless. The passives are fantastic on this thing with gun splash, shotgun splash, and shotgun crit damage. The one that I am typically using is this guy right here, gun damage, gun crit chance, gun crit damage, sorry, and it increases your ricochet projectiles by 1. That's really good if you're using, let's say, a hot slugger, a single pellet weapon. If you're using multiple pellets like a Hellwalker, you don't benefit as much, but still pretty good. Ideally, I want to try and get this guy right here. You're stacking your critical hits up to 40% increased critical hit damage, up to max 8 stacks. This would be fantastic if I could get some really good passives on it. That's the goal. And if I can get a legendary one, you know, by the end of the next 5 years, that'd be great. But, you know, no dedicated drop rate, so that's going to take forever. For ordnance, you can use the crit knife still. You already have 75% critical hit chance, so you don't need it. But if you're going Jakobs Allegiance, the only other options are just less good Jakobs blades, basically. If you're a movement speed enjoyer, these are pretty fun to use. They're pretty weak, but they are fun if you want to just run around really quickly. The spinning blade is just it does more damage than the crit knife, but it only has 1 charge, and you have to try and catch it back to keep going, whereas you can get crit knives with 4 charges. The standard is 3. It's just better to have slightly increased crit chance and more throws of the knife. For the rep kit, as standard, for bossing, we're using the shiny war paint. It gives you increased fire rate and movement speed if you enjoy that. And then enrage as an extra passive is really good if you can get it, 30% increase in damage. For mobbing situations, the kill spring gives you healing orbs for all the extra damage you do when killing an enemy. So for shotguns, when you one tap them, all the extra damage you didn't need to do comes back to heal you and your friends if you've got other people in your game. The triple bypass is how you get your action skill back instantly in mobbing situations. You typically don't run out of it as long as there's things in front of you to kill. You just constantly increase your action skill duration by doing that. But if you haven't got the full setup, or you know you're trying to do Ripper drill sites on repeat, you can chuck this on to get your action skill back instantly and then go back into the fight. And then our Jakobs Allegiance, pure Jakobs Allegiance, is the defibrillator. This thing has 11,000, almost 12,000 healing, which is a lot. And then you can try and get the enrage passive at the bottom if you want the increased damage. I personally didn't worry about it, but I got it just to show it. And then we have our one-shot setup. This thing is nuts. We managed to get a 200% amp shot passive with enrage on it. So you get 200% increased damage on your next shot and 30% increased damage for 8 seconds. Nasty. I'll show you the one-shot setup in a second. For firmware, we've got 3 points in Deadeye for increased gun critical damage, and then stacking your critical damage again, max 5 stacks, total 75% increase critical hit damage. That is really nice. Try and get 3 points in Deadeye. The other 2 points don't really matter. I have 2 points in Bullet to spare for bullets to spare for increased fire rate a little bit, and then mag size 20% is pretty nice dependent on what weapon, but you know you have Hellwalkers in this that don't benefit from that at all. If you really want to min-max, you can get 1 point in God Killer for increased gun damage to bosses, and then 1 point in Oscar Mike for increased reload speed again. You don't really need it though. And then the other setup, you could put 2 points in High Caliber for 10% increased gun damage. But I personally just left it at this because I didn't want to switch at all. I already had all this gear set up with firmware. Now, as for weapons, I'm going to have all the dedicated drops below me on screen, so you can go find them up if you want. I went and got every single Jakobs legendary in the game to test them all out. My personal favorite is the Hellwalker. It's just a great time for bossing and mobbing until you find a boss that has shields or armor, because it's a fire lock weapon, so it is pretty heavily nerfed. But other than that, it's a great time. Shooting this thing for 8 seconds non-stop with the bullet body augment is a great time with increased fire rate. My second favorite is probably the 7th Sense. Great at melding bosses. It's a non-elemental, so it's not nerfed by any particular boss with any weird health bar situation. You just fire like crazy as much as you can for that 8 seconds, and every time you hit an enemy, an orb spawns, and they stack up like crazy until you eventually finally reload after the 8 seconds, and then all the orbs hit the enemy at once, dealing a huge chunk of damage, and it melts everyone. It's great. The boom slang is the only sniper rifle that I like in this game that's a Jakobs at least, mostly because of the scope. They all do about the same-ish amount of damage. These two are a little weaker, but I just don't like these two, the truck and the ballista, because they have ugly sights. They're really slow to aim down sight. It's gross. The boom slang is alright. I'm not a big fan of snipers in this game, but it does pretty well. The Phantom Flame is a great time. It is a revolver. It's probably the closest thing we have to like a trick shot from Borderlands 3. It is fire locked, unfortunately, but again, infinite ammo for 8 seconds. You can melt bosses. It has target lock as well when you aim down sight on an enemy, which is pretty fun to use. The Rainbow Vomit is a really interesting shotgun. It has 3 different elements, so it's really good for multiple health bar enemies, and you can roll whatever 3 combo elements you want, as long as you want to keep farming it. But it has a bit of an arc shot, so it's kind of hard to hit enemies at range. The TK's Wave, I originally really didn't like this weapon when I first tried it out, but now that I've made this Jakobs Allegiance build, it's a ton of fun actually, and it's pretty strong, particularly in like a Ripper drill site. If you just lay into the really healthy enemy, like I was farming the triple XL, lay into that elephant mammoth thing, and all the ricochets go everywhere. Your entire screen is basically just gold particles all over the joint, and it's pretty strong, particularly in comparison to the Hellwalker, and it's non-elemental. The Hot Slugger is probably my second favorite shotgun, particularly for mobbing. For bossing, it's not great, unless you're trying to like one-shot, what's his name, Splash Zone. But this thing stacks up your damage on kill up to 90% extra damage, and the reload is so satisfying. Never use it, like does a spin each reload, which is really cool. Plus we have like 150% extra reload speed. It's a great time. Gonna skip these for a second. We've got the Songbird and the King's Gambit. Not a huge fan of these. They go okay. They're just kind of to be honest. This pistol is the one nostalgic piece that I kept from the story, from that one NPC that gets popped in the head. That's this pistol, but it's level 29, so it was just there for memes. The Rowan's Charge is great for melting bosses, if particularly they're a vile enemy. You shoot like crazy and then let all the stickies explode. That's why it's great for vile enemies, but it's kind of annoying having to wait for the stickies, and it's just not as strong as alternatives, but it's still a pretty good time. The Bonnie and Clyde I prefer more because you can just impact damage instantly, and you can actually get 150% increased gun damage for the other mode on kill. So you can switch between the AR version and the shotgun version in mobbing, and you can just melt. It's a good time. Plus it's high fire rate, so it does pretty well in bossing as well. For the one-shot setup, surprise, surprise, we're using spread launchers. If you don't know what this is somehow, it's incredibly popular from the start of the game. It is a passive alt fire at the bottom here, called a spread launcher. It shoots ×5 grenades, 30,000 ×5 on a blue shotgun. For comparison, the Hellwalker does 1,000 × 10. This does 30,000 ×5. So that's how you one-shot. Basically, you get the setup with the amp, rep kit, 200% increased damage on your next shot, plus 30% damage for the next 8 seconds. We chuck this enhancement on for gun splash, shotgun crit damage. You're really amping it. Throw a crit knife for overkill critical hit chance to make sure all 100% of your shots are hitting, because we already have 75% crit chance. Again, if we really hate crit knives, you don't need this, to be clear. Throw on a What's for Dinner shield, gives you increased 25% shock damage, and gives you whatever amp damage roll you can get on it. Mine has 50% increased gun damage when your shield is full. Then, when you go into a boss fight, activate your action skill, let your action skill shoot at the boss and or the trash mobs around. If you get a kill on the trash mobs, it'll get your stacks up instantly. Hit the rep kit, throw a throwing knife, you're going for overkill, make sure your shield is full so your amp is coming from your shield as well. Switch to the spread launcher if you haven't already, and then shoot him in the head. Bang. Any boss in the game will melt instantly. It's a great time. There's also a purple version, which is slightly weaker, and we also got a knife launcher, which does 43,000 damage. It does not one-shot anything, but you can one-shot a lot of the weaker bosses in the game with it, and it's pretty satisfying to use. That is Jakobs Rafa. If you guys enjoyed or found it helpful, drop a subscribe down below. It is much appreciated. I'm trying to hit 100k by next Tuesday. I also have a Twitch channel and 2 other YouTube channels, one for Minecraft and one for a variety of different games with a bunch of different challenges. They're all linked down below if you want to check them out. Other than that, have a fantastic day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, adios.